Because what I care about is sinners. What I care about is that it's a movie made by black people for black audience. Okay? If you are white or whatever and you want to, get educated, please go watch it. But if you're not willing to get educated and if you're looking for why and the how, please know that you're not welcome to this cookout. And Wunmi is beautiful. And she did that. God! Yes! Yes! I loved it. So people, how are we all doing? You can tell I'm so excited, can't you? Well, I am. First of all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chinyere, and this is my channel, Juliet Style Glam. If you've never been here before, thank you so much for tuning in. And if this is your first time, you are so welcome. If you're already subscribed, awesome. Okay, so without beating around the bush, if you follow me on TikTok, you will already know that I'm going to be talking about the movie Sinners on my YouTube channel, because I told them on TikTok that I do not want to give out the gist of it, but I will say something. That movie, like I said on TikTok, I'm going to share the video here with you. It took me through a roller coaster of emotions. I cried, I smiled, I laughed, I got upset, a movie that made me feel so much at different stages. Gosh, I don't even know how I'm going to begin to talk about this film. I don't know, because it's a whole conversation. There are so many things to dissect from this movie. There's so much. I had wanted to talk about the article by Variety, but I said, listen, there is no point, because I noticed the world we live in thrives on negativity, and by putting out a negative review, they want us to talk about it to make that magazine relevant. So I'm like, yeah, you can, I don't care, right? Because what I care about is sinners. What I care about is that it's a movie made by black people for black audience. Okay? If you are white or whatever and you want to, get educated, please go watch it. But if you're not willing to get educated and if you're looking for why and the how, please know that you're not welcome to this cookout, because we are learning. We are in a master class of what not to do. Okay, when you open the door, especially at night, especially at night. Come on, Ryan Coogler. I am so thankful. I am so grateful for such gifts you have that you've decided to share with us and the world. I am so grateful to God for you. I don't know, but there is so much awareness in the movies that you do. This one hits home. And now you may have noticed what I'm wearing. I'm wearing what we call an Adire batik. Now, batik is actually made. This is very, very Nigerian, African. So this is batik. It's actually made from wax. Okay, the designs you see are made from candle wax and dye. It's a variation of tie dye, which is very common in our culture, especially in the Yoruba culture. There is actually a village where tie dye is actually done. In everything, you've got silk, you've got satin, name it, you get it. Well, as an homage, right, to sinners, and the whole ode that was given to the world of Africa and black people, I said there is no way, no how. I am going to talk about sinners, not dressed as who I am. Please. Hey, somebody tell me. Hey. Okay. because I find myself, I'm going to probably start rambling. Please, okay? I did not do anything special because, again, like I said, there are so many layers to this film. So I'm going to just speak as it comes to me. Bear with me in all of this. I'm just going to speak as it comes to me. Like I said, too many layers, so much to unpack. It's amazing, right? Even there are some I don't even know, right? So I'm still trying to understand, the nuances, in those areas I didn't know. Now, if you want to know where this outfit was made, well, I made it in France. I have a couturier here who made it for me. Yes. And one thing I love is that when I wear it, I don't have to wear anything on my throat. It comes with its own choker. Wunmi Mosaku made me do it. Tell her, somebody. Okay. Anyway, let's start. So we go into this movie. The movie starts in Jim Crow's South, of course, in Mississippi in the 1930s. And we see these two brothers who play this role of identical twins of Smoke and Stack. Now, one of the first things that drew me to Smoke and Stack's characters were their love for each other and how they looked out for each other. Another thing that drew me in was their love for their cousin. The way they protected their cousin, who was played by Miles Caton. Miles, that voice, God, you were phenomenal. And so that was what drew me in, that the way they looked out for each other. I got a feeling of defiance from them. And I love it because naturally I am somebody that I hate rules. Don't quote me on that. But I'm someone that I hate rules. So when I saw them, I could identify very quickly with them, in that regard. Because they were very defiant. They owned their space. They owned where they walked in. They were respected and feared. And they were loved as well. Now, Miles was a hidden gem that I wasn't expecting. Now, in the beginning of the film, we hear Wunmi Mosaku's voice, her narrative, when she talks about the genres of the music and how it transcended from West Africa. And she called the people we call the griot. In French, we call it griot. She called it griot, but in griot, but in French, it's called griot. Now, I'd heard of the griot. They are a part of the Mali tribe. I think they exist in almost in the northern part of Nigeria, we have them. They are there, but I don't know the name they are called. Now, if you are a fan of Aya Nakamura, I've actually done a video about her here before. Aya Nakamura's mom is a griot. And so her music stems from the fact that her mom, she comes from a family of chanteurs or chanteuses, right? And so, there is no surprise how Aya's music has been able to transcend not just France, but the whole world. And, those who are willing to eat their hearts out because of that cannot fathom it, cannot understand it. How? But she's the number one best-selling, highest-selling, most popular artist France has ever known. And it draws in so much into the beauty of music, the fluidity of music. And I remember, and I quote Tracy Chapman, who says she does not like to put music in any class because music is fluid. I want to believe that Ryan Coogler heard that, because when they composed this, when they composed Lie to Me, I lost it. You guys, I lost it. I was at the cinema, and I was till now, and I was going, and I listened to blues, get in with rock and roll, transcend with R&B, disco. We entered juju, Afro juju music. We entered the griot. We entered every genre, high life, you name it. And we got into rap. And then I, till even now as I speak about it, my body, my spirit, everything is just, I've always been a music girl. I've always been a music lover. Never pursued that dream because I just felt it wasn't for me. I used to sing. I used to sing up until 2016. I was at the choir. I've always been my family, we've always been this family of music people, And so when I heard that at the cinema, I kid you not, I was on my seat, If you have not listened to my video on TikTok, go there and listen to it. I was on my seat and I began to move. And I wanted to I was hoping that that Miles will come out of that screen and play that music just for me. I was hoping that. And, when we talk about the music, and when she says that there are people whose music it's also for good, but it also can conjure, evil. And I think it was at that point I became more intrigued as to see what was going to happen. And then with the scene begins, where the whole where we would say the intrigue begins is when we see the Indians who come to knock on a home of a lady and her husband who had been visited by this human. Now, way before that, we had Smoke and Stack, who bought the place and from somebody who was a member of the KKK, right? What I loved was when he said that if anybody of the KKK comes, that he was going to ensure that he unalived every last one of them. You see, that's why I said I'm a defiant person. I loved that defiance. I loved that not bowing towards the authority that feel that they think that they can. Someone asked the question, why it was easy for the vampire to have taken in, why it was easy for, I think his name was Jack O'Connell, who played the Irish dude, said why it was easy for Jack, to have been accepted into the home of, those KKK people. And it was very easy, right? And if you look at everything that goes on around us, it's always about money, greed, and hate. All he had to do, they didn't want him to come in. They were aware that there was an evil permeating around, not minding that they also are those people, are evil as well. They were aware. They were preparing, right, to, themselves to, do their own type of evil in broad daylight where they felt that, they could get away with it. But why was it easy? It was easy because they had so much hate in them and they were greedy and they were poor. And you also then juxtapose how our world of today aligns with this, that it's always very, very easy to corrupt and, garner people who are not educated, who are poor, and because of that poverty and lack of education, for anyone whom they see who is better than them, it's a problem, right? Then it's worst case scenario if the person who is better than them, is for them is somebody whom they are superior, whom they feel are superior to, i.e. black people, right? And so it never sits well with them. If we look at everything that has led from colonization even till after colonization, because again, you and I all know that neocolonization is going on right now. And I have so many examples I could give, even, by virtue of the fact that I live in France and the fact that as a black person who may be doing well for themselves, it's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. Burna Boy was here last week and we had, some, commentators on, interviewers on the platform. And despite being able to cite how aware Bonner was with his music and how he tapped into every aspect of music and colonization and their colonial past, and the people, he makes sure that he uses poets, you name it, Black African. Then in the wake of their so-called admiration, right, they come out and then they decide to show. And again, the funny thing about this is that this is just one part of Nigeria, right? So this dude now travels to Nigeria, goes to a place that is, the slum in Lagos, gets out of the slum and goes to another area that, is all luxurious and we have people with money and all that. And he goes with this and contrast majeur, and he speaks all the beautiful French in his mouth. And then they now turn around and ask Burna Boy, what does he think about it? And I said it's always it's a disease. Like, I'm sorry, it's a disease. And it's a very prevalent thing in France and probably maybe Europe and other parts of the world, I'm sure, and, if I hadn't heard Burna talk about things like this before, I would have been worried. But I wasn't worried because Burna has always been that person. And he says, well, you travel to New York, it's all the same thing. You've got slums. And that was exactly what he told them. He said, but slums exist in Paris, don't they? And they were looking at him, they're like, yeah. The voices weren't loud anymore. And he talks about the fact that, and again, one thing I always want to say is that, a lot of people, again, if I want to use the film to juxtapose what is happening in the world that we live in, because Ryan Coogler, he went in different areas, in different aspects of our social lives, of political, he did everything. And so when you see this, you now realize why it is very easy. Because again, if you realize very quickly that those same gold coins remained in his hands, they didn't get, because they had sold their soul, for gold that they never even took anymore. They never got it again, And then we now get to the juke joint. And before the juke joint, I want to give a beautiful... I must have missed Wunmi in her previous movies. And because of that, I'm going to go back. But I want to give a very, very big shout out to Wunmi Mosaku. And I want to also say the same to Ryan Coogler. And why I'm saying this is because you see the sex scene. I loved it. And I loved it because it was a rarity. And on film, it was a rarity on film. Because each time on film, we always shown women who are a certain size. And for one moment, I was extremely glad, because as Black women, we come in all shapes and beautiful sizes. We have Black women who are full, who are buxom, and they are beautiful. We've got them who are lepa, and they are beautiful. We've got those who are, plump, who are thick, and they are all beautiful. And Wunmi is beautiful. And she did that. God! Yes! Yes! I loved it. That scene held my heart. It held my heart so much. And which brings me to the topic of a habit where our Black people talk to and refer to because of a certain look. You see a Black woman like yourself and you start calling her auntie when she has not told you to call her auntie, because it's one thing for someone to say, oh, call me auntie, right? It's another thing that for someone who did not demand for you to call her auntie, now you begin to call her auntie. It is, I've actually experienced it, and that's why I'm saying it. And I was quite nasty with the person, because at a point, I think I'm the kind of person that you could be saying things and I will just walk past, I wouldn't care, and I'll move on. I'll probably even I'll make light of it. But on this particular occasion, she decided to go further, and she said something in the corridors of, "You don't want to grow old." And I'm like, "What?" And I started smiling. And again, in that same vein, I did not bother myself. You know why? Because you see, when someone projects their insecurities, that's what you get. And it's so easy for people to project their insecurities towards other people, just because they don't see themselves. They want to see themselves in that position or something. I don't know, but I think it's a projection of insecurities. Point blank, period. Wunmi Mosaku, God bless you. You are a goddess. You are a girl. I'm going to give it to you. You played your, oh God, Michael B. Jordan, please, you guys delivered. I'm shaking. The connection, the way she made him say what do you want with me? And then he said it. Oh my God, he said it. Oh my God. Anyway, I love Wunmi. And I'm going to watch all her previous movies. And because I want to see her in other movies, tell me something. Anyway, that said, the dichotomy of Smoke and Stack. I was, when you come with identical twins, one of the things you want to do first is always who's who, but it was very easy. They made it very easy for us in this movie and, created, and, it was very easy. Stack was in red and, Smoke was in blue. I'm still not sure about the connotation of the red and the blue yet. So you see, like I said, there's a lot of conversation to be had in this movie. Hailey, you're a darling. God bless you. You are a darling. Oh my God, your scene with Stack. God. And I'm like, yeah, he what you said we needed to cough to actually break the tension a little bit. But I loved your love. I loved your love with Stack. It was beautiful. The fact that both of Smoke and Stack were looking out for each other, and Smoke looked out for Stack so much. Stack was like this errant child, and he needed reining in, and he knew that his brother always reined him in at all times. The beauty of seeing Michael B. Jordan being able to play those two people differently, and get it. This movie, oh my God, I will keep on saying this movie. I loved it. Wunmi, the priestess, being Annie, who was the mother, who was the nurturer, who was the provider, and who was so disciplined, and she still kept her dignity, She was all of that, and she was the mother hen that was watching over everybody. And again, this puts us again in the black woman conditionship, where that is who we are. We cater, we nurture, we provide, we comfort. She showed us that she was the one, and the love she had, Smoke had for her. Smoke trusted her. Smoke trusted her, everything she said, despite him not wanting to believe in the voodoo. And I'm going to talk about the voodoo part of it. Despite him not wanting to believe in the voodoo, he did. He trusted her implicitly, and he knew that for everything he would never ever hurt this woman, and he never wants to hurt this woman. Annie spoke, Smoke listened. Annie spoke, Smoke listened. And that's the beauty of the love of a man who understands his comfort, his place of, this is where everything, I can lay it down, and she was that person. And when she told him that the amulet has been protected, like I said, he didn't want to believe in all of that, but he knew somehow that this thing was working, and we switch over to Stack and Mary's love. a love that was predetermined to be a death sentence, by virtue of her skin type and him being a black man. Imagine telling somebody how you feel about them.
No, you never planned to stay. Why can't you just say that?
Say what? I love you. I think about you every day. I just want to keep you someplace safe.
Man, you remove your hat. I cry. That's it. I started bawling. I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. I started bawling at the cinema. I was bawling. I was like, what? What's going on here? Even up until now. You know. Dear Lord. Help me. I began to bawl. And I was like, what? Gosh, this movie. I don't know. It's whew. Yeah, okay. So I think I'm ready now. And then we now see the whole thing play out. We talk about Delroy Lindo. Delroy Lindo was a man who had given himself up for, to be a drunk. But I want to talk about his role in helping the vampires plan work. It wasn't intentional, because when Wunmi spoke, Wunmi said, no one comes in, no one gets out. But I guess what he understood by that instruction was everybody out, party is over. Because I feel like if he had listened, the vampires needed numbers. They needed to steal. They wanted that, they wanted to take what wasn't theirs. And, I think that was his role. And I think at a point in the film, he realized how he had effed it up. And he decided, listen, I'd rather go down than any of these kids go down because of me, because by the time they all came out, everyone was gone. Now let's talk about Bo. Again, if we juxtapose the world we live in, and I think, when Americans talk about it, I usually, when Black Americans talk about every other demographic group, every other group, and how they are being treated, I usually keep quiet, because in Europe, we are very, very aware quite quickly. We are considered to be the bottom barrel, right? And so very quickly we know, in this part of the world, very quickly we know. And so we always know to keep to ourselves as quickly as possible and as soon as possible. We've seen it happen, so many, though France tries to, I know France on its own tries to play the role of integration and all, but in all honesty, the integration has been more of it's like a personal thing, integrate for your own personal reasons, right? It's that's how it is, because other demographics, again, they keep to themselves. So if you come here, the Asian community, they keep to themselves. The Maghreb community, they are always on by themselves, and they always tend to be able to find themselves. If you come here, you have the Nigerian community or the Igbo community, we get to do our thing, So here we are very, very self-aware. And I think the way Europe is the way Europe is governed does not allow for, because again, like for example, again, I'll always give you the example of France. France has put himself using the law as a way to protect everyone, even though yes, it is the racism and all is still perpetuated, but the law exists as a means to protect everyone and to give everyone their rights towards fairness and justice, right? So much so that even so that when you are being segregated against, it's not coming from some, do you understand? It's there, it's there. You see it, you feel it, you sense it. Someone, would ask me, have I ever been a victim of racism? I'll tell you, not directly. But I have, but not directly, because, and again, it's something you have to try to prove to be able to ensure, and everybody is kind of understands the language not to use. Do you understand what I mean? Whereas in the US, it's not the same, because the US is either, especially in the politics, you're either a Democrat or a Republican. And those who use you for the advantage come out to use you for the advantage, and those who that kind of a thing. So here we are very self-aware of these forms of segregation that already exist, because again, like I said, we are here, and every other demographic that has a clearer skin is up above, is above you. It's just what it is. So that even after being French here, right, and in the color of your skin, matches, then we now start looking at other things. Okay, the color of your skin, okay, this person's color of skin is lighter than this person's color of skin, so I'd rather go with this person's color of skin who is lighter than this. Or do you understand? Sometimes it's also done with names. I've had people who change their names just because they want to be able to have the opportunity to be able to do the jobs and get the I've seen it happen, and some people just change their name, the same place that they applied for a job for, calls, because they changed the name, and will call them and say, okay, that they would want to hire you, but you applied to the same job with your name, with the name you want to use, and still, and then they were like, no, they cannot hire you for one reason or the other. It has happened not once, not twice. It has happened. It's happening, But I'm someone that had always been very, very clear. I was very, very determined from the beginning. I said, listen, you learn to pronounce my name or you forget about it. That's it. So yes, you pronounce my name. I've kept my name. I've used my name, and it's not changing anytime soon. Not for your sake, not for anybody. I'm using it. So you see, it exists. We all, in Europe, we are very, very self-aware about that. It's very, very clear. Even though they try to make it look like it's not happening, it's there. Anyway, so we see where Lee Junli, jeopardizes everyone. I was at a point I wanted to actually go on the screen and drag her. I'm like, what's wrong with you? But yeah, someone asked the question. I remember somebody asked the question of how did the vampires get there? And they said Perlin was, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think that one is a lot of things. Perlin could have been the source, but it could also have been Mary, right? In that juke joint, she was the only fair-skinned lady there, right? And we can't deny that she loved Stack so much that she was ready to jeopardize anything and everything to be with him, whereas he was also just trying to protect her, as his as someone he was in love with, but she was ready to risk it all. she was ready and willing to risk it all. I wasn't surprised when she said that her grandfather was, half black. I was like, okay, because the thing, the southern drawl, she got it. She really got it. So I love Hailey Steinfield. She is phenomenal. And again, I wish she hadn't gone outside, because again, Stack was that person who always felt like he saw an opportunity in everything, whereas Smoke was the one who was level-headed, and Smoke had said no. And, between both of them, they decided, okay, let them see if they can cut this deal for themselves. So I really wish she hadn't pursued it. I really wish she hadn't gone ahead with it. It would have kept everyone safe. maybe until the KKK came, but I think it would have kept everyone safe. But unfortunately, she had to. She did it, and and then at that point, all hell was let loose because again, Annie says she's family. The way again that is that black woman love. She's family, and there's nothing to talk about it. She's family. She doesn't go anywhere, right? So we see a lot of there's so much to bring out in this movie, so much. Then I want to come to Miles. Oh my God, Miles, God bless you. Your voice. I started asking. I said, who was the composer of this? I need to know the composers of the songs of this film. Miles, your voice, your role was so pivotal in this movie. It was crazy. People talked about you selling your soul to the devil because of music, and I'm not so sure. I just feel it was someone who had a love for something he loved. And he didn't, and I think that's for each of us. When we love something so much, when we love to do something so much, someone taking it out of you is like rendering you handicapped, right? So I think that was the problem with Miles. Miles was not willing, that's Preacher Boy. Preacher Boy was not willing to let go of his music. He loved his music. He enjoyed his music. He lived for his music. But, we also see where Smoke shows his undying love for his cousin, because nothing must happen to that boy. Even Stack was not going to attack Preacher Boy. He wasn't going to touch him. He was blood. They knew, but he was not going to touch him. But the person who wanted him was the vampire, because he wanted to take what did not belong to him. Again, it brings us to the theft of black wealth, what we own. And I think in my own way, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also think that Ryan Coogler's deal with Warner Brothers on this film he was trying to say that our stories belong to us. And when we see the vampire, he was willing. He forgot about the sunset, because if you remember that the sun was going to, he would have probably looked for a shelter somewhere. But he forgot because he was so greedy. He wanted absolutely what was not his, to take it, to colonize it, to use it for his own benefit. Nothing more. And that is the world we're living in. We go to Africa today, right? Every resource, everything we own, we are not using. We don't even have ownership of it, because we got some people who decide that it is worthy for them more than it is for us. We've talked about this. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we talked with, the scandal about luxury goods and all. We all know the leather that is used is from Nigeria, all over the world. It's from Nigeria. Or are we talking about the fact that, the diamonds that exist in Congo and Angola they don't even wear them. They don't even use them. Or are we talking about the cobalt and the lithium and all those things that are in Congo that are being unalived for today, and no one is saying anything about it? Again, it is for those people who feel that it is better off with them than the real owners, and that they are willing to do anything and sacrifice anybody to get it. So, as long as it's not themselves, they will sacrifice you, the owner. They will do anything if they have to unalive you. And that was exactly what the vampire was trying to do. I want to unalive you, but I want what you have, promising to give you, something that is not real. And that's exactly what it goes, because when you go to if you check all the contracts that they signed with all the countries in Africa for their resources, it's crap. It's crap. It's all crap. There's this the one with Niger and the uranium, and they are being paid less than, I don't know, I think 300 euros a month for a product that you will definitely most probably get unalived by cancer after. For the people who are taking care of themselves more than you are the one who is going there to die for it, but they are somewhere in their offices, taking coffee and smoking cigarettes and just, collecting and then giving you peanuts, right, for something that belongs to you. So you wonder, exactly why. And we wonder why the world is the way it is, because everybody's eyes, we're all getting clarity, and it's becoming clear to each and every one of us what's going on, right? So that was Miles. I think Miles was not willing to give up, and I think Miles had implicit trust in Smoke to protect him, and even Stack, because at the end when we come to, if you go to the cinemas, ensure that you stay and watch, because after the credits there's still another, we get another movie, and after, because I didn't know, I stayed because of the music, and then boom, after the music we got another final cut, and after that we had another part again. So make sure you stay, don't leave, stay, enjoy the music, flow with it, vibe with it, right? And when Stack comes, we now understand that there was a truce, again, the love of Smoke for his brother, and ensuring that, Stack and Mary got their forever, and he got his own forever. I wasn't, and I think I get to understand better why Stack, Smoke, I think Smoke was willing to go. He wasn't willing to stay without Annie. He wasn't. So whatever happened with the KKK, he was going to make sure that he parted. So he risked it all, everything. That scene was wow. That scene got me. Wunmi in all white and the flower in her hair and the baby and her boss. Oh my gosh, Wunmi is sexy. God, she is sexy. What? Michael B. Jordan, I don't know whom I'm going to call. I don't know whom I'm going to congratulate. I don't know, but all I know is that I'm going to watch Sinners again. Yes, I don't care. I'm going to watch it again. Next week, I'm going to watch it again. I don't give a damn. I'm going to watch. F that. I'm going to watch. They should take my, see, Raya Kugla, take my money, take everything. I'm going to watch it again. I've watched the first one. I'm going to watch it again. I don't care. I'm going to definitely go back to the cinema. I'm going to watch it again. I don't care. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell for me. If I get more, I'll pop in, mostly on TikTok so that I'll be able to share it very quickly. I'll pop in. But you guys have fun with this one. Tell me what you think. Yeah, put your thoughts. I want your thoughts and your idea. I want to hear it all. I want us to have this conversation. FUBU, for us, by us. I want that. Right? So yeah, that's it for me on this video. Do not fail to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye. Mwah.